The Moss Ross was absolutely beautiful yesterday, but it's starting to want to seed. The flowers are absolutely gorgeous, but it is getting in time for seed time. I guess you say seed saving time. I'm loving this deer net. It took so much pressure off of me. We're going to take a look at the garden right quickly, and I'm so excited about my corn. I am so excited because I've never grown corn before, and some of this corn, I am 5'4", so all of it, just about all of it, just about all of it is definitely taller than I am. Back there, that's got to be at least almost 9 feet tall, 8'5", 9 feet tall. Now some of it's smaller because of the watering. They have a lot of ears onto it. It is planted close together. I haven't quite figured out, when to pick it. A lot of it the silk has not dried out yet. That one, I think I just want to pick it later and to see what the corn, the kernels look like. So that is new this year. I've never grown corn. So excited about that. The Star of David, I've never grown before. The black eyed peas, it won't be long and it'll be time to pick some black eyed peas. And I've never grown black eyed peas before, so I'm really excited about that. They're blooming out. I do have some pest pressure with the Japanese beetles, and so I'm constantly out here looking to see if I can find some Japanese beetles, because they will do damage in a heartbeat. It doesn't take very long. My sweet potato slips are all I have raised up myself. They look phenomenal. I didn't buy any sweet potato slips this year. Usually I grow my own and buy some, I guess for security reasons. The okra is starting to bloom out. But this year I growed every one of these slips. The sweet potatoes look just beautiful, along with that corn down there. And so it's first time for corn, first time for growing all my sweet potato slips, first time for growing the Star of David okra, first time for growing black eyed peas, and first time for growing watermelon. I always heard that watermelon and corn was a hard thing to grow. Now these are sugar babies as far as I know. I believe there's a honeydew or cantaloupe that got mixed up in here. But right now they're looking wonderful. I did see one small watermelon, and down at the very end, these were planted somewhere else, and I dug them up. They went through a lot of transplant shock, but they pulled through. So the watermelon is new this year. It's the first time for everything. And we go back over here, these are pickling cucumbers, which I never grown into the summertime. I did try it in the fall. They didn't do that well, but they're doing phenomenal. I'm fixing to go in there and pickle some of those. This down here is a running butter bean. Now it does have a little bit of rust disease that I've been battling with here. I think it's because the temperatures were so cold, and these beans just sit here. Now that it's heated up, they're starting to take off. They do have some butter beans that's forming on here, some little ones and some bigger ones. Don't see any beans in them. I'm trying to find one now. Maybe I'm going too fast. I don't know how well they'll do, but they're blooming out. They're starting to bloom out because our temperatures finally. Look at that large butter bean. My goodness, I never saw that before. That's huge. So it must be large speckled butter beans. I'm hoping they'll do something other, but it's the first time of growing those. First time. This is a grilling squash, and this is a delicious squash. I absolutely just love it. It tastes phenomenal. I tried grilling some, but just cutting it up just like you do with the other squash. Put a little bit of bacon, some water, some salt, if you want a pepper, and stew it just a little bit. It was phenomenal. This is a type of bean. I'm thinking it's a small running butter bean. Now I did have to plant these twice. Our weather just would not allow the beans to grow. So it's the first time with this type of bean here. First time for Jamestown hybrid tomato. Since I had some beans that didn't come up, then I decided to go ahead and plant those Jamestown tomatoes in there. So these are finally starting to take off because our temperature was just too cool. I'm just hoping they'll do, you know, they'll grow and produce. They're starting to grow. Hopefully we'll have enough time and it'll work out really great. Now the key is this weather going to be too hot for them? You know, because they've been sitting in the ground for so long, but they finally took off. The okra, I plant it in cell pods or cell trays, and then I transplant it. This right here is the Clemson Spineless. Now I grow Clemson Spineless, old time favorite, which is blooming out. I did pick one pod earlier, but it's my old time favorite, and you can save the seeds. It's also good for chicken feed. But it's the first time for me growing the Star of David. From here down to that metal stake, down is the Star of David. Of course, over there with the black eyed peas is some Star of David too. So it's the first time of me growing the Star of David. Now with the Japanese beetles, I'm constantly walking through here because they can produce so much damage that if you don't watch your garden, you would not have a garden. Now over here is a variety of tomatoes. So there's some first timers here. Here is one of my favorite varieties. It's Celebrity, and then it goes down and it goes into Big Beef. And on this side is the Summer Pick, then it goes down and it goes into the Homestead. Now I have picked 7 5-gallon buckets of tomatoes. There were so many tomatoes on these plants that, and I've also trimmed some of my my leaves, and plus it's starting to get blight, so I cut some of those off, and I hated to with the heat, but it's starting to get some blight, and you know, it is what it is in our area. This tomato, I have no clue. It looks like a Roman tomato, but it doesn't look like my other Roman tomatoes on the other side of the garden. And it's supposed to be a Summer Pick, but it came out to that, so interesting. So we have the Celebrities. I love the production of Celebrities. This is the Summer Pick. Now all these tomatoes produce big tomatoes. This is Celebrity. I took a lot of them off of it because if you have so much fruit onto a plant, like any other fruit, then you have smaller fruit. And I took a lot of them off. I have canned spaghetti sauce, put tomatoes in the freezer, got some tomatoes about ready to, I want to make some more spaghetti sauce. So this is a Straight 8. Straight 8 is my favorite cucumber that I grow here on the southeast coast. It's very adaptable. It's good to save seeds from. It just does phenomenal. I have no complaints, so I always end up planting Straight 8. First time for growing sunflowers. I've never grown sunflowers, but this year, this is the first time. As they say, there's the first time for everything. This goes right on down to the Summer Pick. The only thing I hate is that, not having so many leaves. Now this one right here didn't do so well, this plant, but it did produce the tomatoes. Is that you can get, with the heat, sun scald, your tomatoes be burnt a little bit, or sun scald. But this is indeterminate and the determinate tomatoes. This sunflower down here is like huge. That's over about, I know the camera can't do justice, but that's definitely a 50-cent piece size. And gosh, I'm not sure how tall that is, but it's going up to 7 feet. Love the sunflowers into the garden. Definitely something I want to do again. They look so beautiful just standing there by themselves. Now this is the Summer Pick. We go down here, and these are all the way to the end is the Homestead. Homestead does produce pretty good sized tomatoes. There's one big one right in there. Most of these tomatoes right now probably look small because I picked the biggest one so they can go ahead and ripen up. I picked them green so they can go ahead and be ripened up, hopefully to get other tomatoes on here to get bigger. So I was having a bunch of small tomatoes. So right here goes down to Homestead, old time favorite tomato. This is the big beef. I have taller steaks because they grow. This one, there's a big Homestead tomato back there. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a big one back there. They're big tomatoes. I have no complaint on none of the sizes of the tomatoes. Look at all those tomatoes. Now this plant right here, I picked tomatoes off of it. But that's what I'm saying. They're just all on there. It's Homestead tomatoes. Big beef is one of my favorite. They produce really well. What I would love to do is to get, hey Hero, wait a minute, get some a variety of these tomatoes and do a taste test. And I see an aphid, and he's not gonna let me get him. Stay fast. I don't know if I can get him. Oh, I got him. I got him. So, constantly going through my garden to check on the pests. We had a lot of pest pressure here this year, and I think I finally, at this point in time, got it under control. I've never had so much pest pressure before in my life, and it was difficult. And I think it's because I planted such a lot of variety of beans. The weather played a big factor in that. And I've been dealing with, you know, when the dirt hits your plants. I never got some straw up under there, but most time I end up not putting straw to keep that soil from hitting the plants, to give that disease these plants will get. But I do go in here, and I see one right here, and it's gushy. You're right, don't knock me down, buddy. And that looks gross. I missed it this morning. I don't throw these in my soil. I learned, when I first learned about this a year or two years ago, I was picking them off and throwing them to the soil, taking that disease, putting it right back in my soil, splashing right back up on the plants. So usually I'll just throw it to the chickens, but definitely I don't throw it to the soil. Here is what's left of the zucchinis going on. There's another zucchini. There's a huge zucchini down there that I overlook, and I'm just leaving it there. See how big it's going to get. Homestead Tomatoes does produce a lot of tomatoes. All these tomatoes produce a lot. I have no complaints with them. I just can't figure out which is my best tomato. I like the celery, I like the big beef.